guys, and welcome back to the main one podcast for nerds. Today, I'm not usually used to hosting this show, but Andrew is away, so I'll be your main host today. We'll be talking about the E3 show and what we thought of it. Today with me is Bones.
Hey, advanced technologies were utilized in bringing me to the show today.
And Nolan.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good.
Oh, very well. Handsomely.
Let's get started with it. What did you guys think of the Ubisoft show?
None of the games really piqued my interest at all. The only thing that I'm excited about from Ubisoft is Mythic Quest. I love that show. So fucking good on Apple TV. I thought their trailer for Werewolves Within, never played the game, never knew the game, but they're making a movie and it looks like a cheesy B horror movie that I used to love as a kid. Those are the only parts of their entire show that I was interested in.
It's kind of weird because I can kind of agree with you. I mean, my choice for like my favorite game that they showed was Riders Republic, just because it seems off the wall, like with the mountain biking and the snowboarding and the skiing and the wingsuits, dude. Like that was really cool, and it seems like you can do everything at once, and that was really fun. But usually, it's a cardinal sin to show like TV shows and everything and movies at E3 because that's what really got Xbox One into trouble. But so many developers decided to show movies and TV shows here. Like I just didn't get it. Like I don't know what everybody was thinking.
Well, at least they're related to video games. Mythic Quest is about a game studio, and Werewolves Within is a movie based on a game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it would be weird seeing a Nintendo Direct and having Monster Hunter in it or something like that, but
Well, I mean, Monster Hunter is right now the only game station that plays Monster Hunter games is the Nintendo Switch. But I can totally agree with you on that. I'm actually pretty excited for the movie. It seems pretty fun. I like the idea that they're all really smart and they all decide to stay together, but they left one thing out, like, somebody's a werewolf and probably doesn't want to mention it, but they have to go, otherwise they out themselves. So they kind of trap themselves in with the beast there.
No, it's not, like I said, the only part of their showcase that was interesting was their TV show and the movie.
The next one is Devolver, and the one game that they spotted seemed like a weird kind of Doom-esque game, but it's set with like Chinese mythical creatures and everything like that. Well, that was pretty cool. But they went into
that did look
dragon.
And then they went into like this weird kind of like all I can say is a weird fever dream of a show, which I really had left me kind of confused. Don't get me wrong, some of it was pretty funny, but kind of took me out of the whole experience for the first day. It was a bit of a weird one. But that's all I really have to say about Devolver. So next up would be Gearbox. Now I was hoping for Gearbox. I was hoping to see some Borderlands or maybe some We Happy Few, but the only thing they really showed that stood out to me at the very least was the Tiny Tina's Wonderful Adventure. So, are you guys Borderlands fans at all?
No, but I do know Gearbox was the last one that I watched because when I searched for it online, all that came up was worst E3 showcase ever.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Headlines about that.
It wasn't great.
And when I watched it, it really was just a waste.
Honestly, like they really should have like waited to show something else because the only new game, and that's the reason why the one I picked is because the only game they really showed was that game. Don't get me wrong, it's based off of the best Borderlands 2 expansion, which was can't be that great if I can't remember it, but it's the Bunkers and Badasses. The Tiny Tina's which is a D&D themed expansion for Borderlands 2. And this game is going to be set in that world, but it's just going to be only that world, which is really cool because it's kind of like a mixture of medieval like fantasy and the balls to the wall kind of Borderlands 2 gameplay. And it's really cool because you can pretty much like customize your own hero from, I don't know, that's what the developer said at the very least, but you can customize your own hero and you won't be able to make your own guns, but it's better than nothing, right? They also showed didn't show anything for the Borderlands movie, but they showed Kevin Hart and the director talked about it a little bit, but yeah, I can agree with you guys. With you, Nolan, that was probably the worst show of E3 I've ever seen.
Yeah, and yeah, there just wasn't a lot there. Well, for me, I'm just not really interested in any of their stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty much the only thing they really put out that has been any good was the Borderlands series. Sorry to all you Gearbox fans out there, but yeah, hot take. We'll be next up. We're going to Xbox and Bethesda. Xbox and Bethesda had a lot of different games out there, various genres and themes. What really interested you guys from the Xbox show?
Well, for me, Starfield does look intriguing,
Mm-hmm.
where you're a pilot in a space exploration company, and there's very little information there in their
Mm-hmm.
clip of it. It was more, I think, just to try and set a mood or something like that. But I don't know. I thought it was a really good teaser because don't really know exactly what it's about, apart from
Well,
exploring space. Like I've had to go and look at other stuff online afterwards to actually get a little more background information on it, and it looks interesting. It's going to be available on Xbox Game Pass on my laptop on day one,
mhm.
so there is still zero reason for me to buy an Xbox.
No, and I think that's one thing that Microsoft was really going for with Xbox Game Pass, because PC gaming is, as much as it hurts to say as a console gamer myself, really the more superior model. Um, and yet the cool part, I guess cool for some people, is it is going to be a PC and Xbox exclusive. Starfield. This is
Yeah,
the first Bethesda game that has ever been an exclusive, but since they were bought by Xbox, it makes sense.
yeah. One thing I was hoping for was I had read some rumors that Steam was going to be coming to Game Pass,
Mm-hmm.
and I was kind of hoping it would, just so I don't have to make up my own Steam account now. But that's all that I'll just do anyways. Whenever I have time to join Steam.
Um, well, see, Steam is weird because I would love to see them, because they made some of the most iconic games ever with Half-Life and Portal and Team Fortress, right? But they haven't put out a game, and I want to say, like, when did Portal 2 come out? Like 2006, maybe? Right? Like, they don't, if they went out there, it would have just been like an ad for Steam itself, right? With them throwing up like, hey, like this is where you get all the games for cheap, you know? So if they're gonna have a show, I'd rather them show something like cool, like, hey, this is just a shot in the dark, but I'd really like to see it. Portal 3, Half-Life 3, some of these important games, trilogies are really cool and what the rest of the world expects. For me though, Xbox show was always going to be the Halo show. There were some really, really cool games out there on the Xbox show, but for all the Bethesda guys out there, I've been a Halo fan since day one, and well, I wanted to talk about it, even though there was no story. Really, it was just about the multiplayer. But the cool part is the multiplayer will be free, right? So you don't even need to buy the rest of the game. You can just download the multiplayer and play Halo multiplayer with everybody.
Woo!
Oh, I must not have heard that bit.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? When I was refreshing my memory when I was getting prepped for today, I read that it was supposed to be free, which is going to be really cool.
No, that would be, but it's smart though,
Yeah,
because
very smart.
you entice people to play it and they'll buy the game afterwards.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if you're going to be just buying the game for the multiplayer, anyways, it makes sense. Like, I was talking to my friend Brett at work today, and he's really, really excited for Battlefield 2044, right? But it's a multiplayer game that us in Canada, for other places in the world, I don't know exactly how much it's going to be, but like usually a brand new game is going to be like $90 now, right? And I don't want to pay $90 for a multiplayer experience. So if Xbox is putting out um, Halo
Free mode.
Infinite multiplayer for free, right? Like you get that game, you get to play that, and you get it for free, right? You get to experience Xbox Game Pass without actually owning Xbox Game Pass.
No, that's really cool.
Yeah, and one
So
other thing I want,
you don't get your cake, but you eat it too.
exactly, right? one other thing I want to say about the Xbox show is they really knew what they were doing. They went in there and they showed off Xbox Game Pass and they really, really pushed it, and it was awesome, right? And I mean,
You
that's what
know,
they do.
Xbox was terrific. It was
I
good.
would probably put that Bethesda Xbox show as I thought it was the second best one behind the Nintendo Direct.
See,
I
for
thought
me,
the Nintendo Direct was they always do a good job of it, and I was really interested in a lot of stuff there. But then, I thought Bethesda Xbox One was the next best put together one.
well, see, because I think the reason why is because a lot of these shows this year, they didn't show too much games. Like
No, but
Xbox,
there was a lot more in that one.
yeah, Xbox had 90 minutes, and you know what? It was just a machine gun of different trailers over and over and over and over again. You know what? I really appreciate that because that's what E3's for. It's for the games. Show us the games.
Whereas
The
Gearbox, it was just
games.
showed off just mention a few DLCs and just I think it
Movie.
was just old gameplay that I think they'd already showed before. It was just garbage.
Next up, if is everybody finished with Xbox? Anybody have anything else to
Well, I don't think it was stinky garbage, but it was all right.
say? For next up is Square Enix. And now Square Enix was a bit of a controversial one for me. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Much as Gearbox was considered one of the worst E3 showcases ever, I swear to God, Square Enix had the worst trailer of all time in there.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
Oh,
Chaos. I'm here to kill chaos. Which, by the way, I'm actually pretty excited for that game now after I've read up on it a little bit. But we'll get to that later. For me personally, my favorite game of my choice for best game and show was Guardians of the Galaxy for Square Enix. It seems they learned a lot of
Oh,
lessons.
dang.
It seems that they learned a lot of lessons from Avengers. The game has style, it has charisma, the combat seems snappy, right? Like it seems like a Uncharted. Seems like an Uncharted style of charisma coming from each character. And the voice actors did a really good job, like betraying all the characters. I appreciated every little nod they did, how you get to be Star-Lord. Like you're focusing on one character. The rest of the Guardians are there to support you, right? It's just
I think that's the part that I didn't like. That was the only game, that was their only game that I was interested in. I mean, Final Fantasy Origins, we'll talk about that, but you have all these other characters in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Why just only play Star-Lord? You give instructions to the other characters, but you only play as Star-Lord.
Because this is just my opinion. I definitely don't know anything about anything. That way you don't lose focus, right? I found when I was switching between levels during the campaign of Marvel's Avengers, right? Kind of lost some things on me. Why? Because like when I went in there, I really wanted to play Thor. Thor is my favorite character that when I went in there and I really wanted to play him. But I didn't get to play him until like halfway through the game, right? Other than the tutorial. So when you go in focusing as one character, the story has a better chance to spread its wings because you're not trying to keep every single character in the game, right? That way, if you're playing as one character and the other characters there to support you, you have a much easier time continuing on with the story. You know,
That makes sense.
at
But
least that's
it's
my
Guardians
opinion.
of the Galaxy. There's a lot of different characters. There's several characters there, and they all have their own they're all interesting characters.
Mhm. And I
It
mean, like,
just it
But
seems
are
like
they
a
interesting enough to
risky
play
path.
them as characters? I mean, Drax, not really.
that is true.
You know what I
But
mean?
I think
Gamora. Do you want to play as Gamora? What are you
actually,
gonna
I
do?
think it was pretty dope. One thing I found
Yeah,
out.
her combat skills would be great, and she
Yeah.
would probably have like some throwing star or throwing knife abilities.
Speak.
She could probably wield a lightsaber.
Oh, you know what? That'd be
She's probably competent.
And
to
I
wield
mean,
a
like
lightsaber.
Disney owns Marvel. Disney owns Star Wars. This might be the game we're looking for to mix it up.
And
What thing,
retcon everything and make Luke Jedi an Avenger.
yeah, there you go, right? But what thing they can do, Nolan, to kind of get that is, yeah, for the main game you play as Star-Lord. But maybe one expansion they'll let you play as Gamora. One expansion they'll let you play as Rocket and Groot, right? They're just
Oh, by the way,
yeah. Go ahead. Yes.
I personally didn't think the voiceover work was tremendous. It wasn't
Um.
spectacular. It was
Oh, really?
good, but not great.
Yeah.
Even although I did have a small sample because I only watched the trailer, I didn't play the game. But from what I could tell, I don't know. For me, I didn't think it was spectacular.
Okay, I can see that. Like, what were you hoping for then? Like the
Well,
actors kind of thing?
at first, I wasn't sure if it was like a movie accurate portrayal or not, so I was just kind of caught off guard. But and I never heard anything about it coming out, so it was just kind of like the very first I've ever heard or seen it, right?
Yeah.
So my expectations, I didn't have any because it was just kind of arrived into my mind, right in front of my eyes.
Actually, that's one of the things that kind of got me a little more hyped for it because they packed it pretty close to heart. I didn't hear about anything. Like, don't get me wrong. Apparently, there was rumors going around like a couple weeks before E3. But like I was completely caught off guard when we were streaming it. Like I had no idea.
And the guy that plays the raccoon,
Rocket, yeah.
his voice was the worst, I think.
Yeah, it's hard to do what Bradley Cooper did with Rocket, I find. It's a very distinct kind of sound. And what I think the voice actor they chose for Rocket tried to go too much into it. Right? Like do what some of the other actors did. You try to make your own performance. These characters are separate from the MCU.
Yeah, it did
Yeah.
sound like a bad karaoke cover.
Yeah.
With the other characters, that wasn't so much of an issue because their style, their animation, their visual is different from the movies.
Well, see, that's the cool part. That's a really cool part. As a comic reader myself, the characters are closer to the designs of the characters in the comics, right? Like Gamora and Drax don't really look too similar to the way they looked in the MCU,
No.
right?
Yeah, visually it was great. I
Yeah.
thought it was great.
I mean, and like for as a comic reader myself, I have no idea who the villainess is. I have no idea. Like I've never once heard of her. I've never once like out of any of the comics. Like I'm actually like I probably should have looked it up so I would have known. But at the same time, I'm curious, man. I'm really curious. She seems badass, right? Like she's ripped. And that like weird like kind of version of Thor's axe, it looks really cool, man. It looks really really cool. Is there anything else that you guys really like stood out? Like, because I mean, like, there's Legend of Mana, they're
Well, that was
remaking.
stuff that we knew was going to happen,
That's true.
I think. Well, the Legend of Mana we did.
It's just unfortunate the Avengers game, like in this series of games that's coming out and about to come out, the Avengers had to be the first one to like work out all the bugs and like kind of be the shitty one to come out, and then this one will probably be better, and then the next one will probably, I don't know what they'll do,
It'll be
but it'll
perfect.
probably be a bit better.
I can agree with that actually, but the problem I think they started out with is they tried to do a live service game with the Avengers, right? So a live service game is essentially where a game where they put out stuff regularly or they try to, and then they update it as it's going, right? Um, I think there's only ever been two live service games that have ever been successful, which is Destiny, the Destiny series, and Outriders, right? Anthem was one, and Anthem crashed and burned hard. And Avengers. I was actually that's a good point, Jonah. I was actually talking to my friend Brett with this today. Avengers crashed and burned hard because it had the same problem that Destiny 1 had when it first came out, Destiny 2 had when it first came out. After the story, there was nothing to do. It was boring. It felt grindy, and there's nothing cool there. I don't know. Division was another live service game which started really rocky and ended up being a pretty good game at the end. For Avengers, I personally like I enjoyed the gameplay and everything like that, but there's only so many times you can kill aim robots and be satisfied. So I ended up giving up on it. But they've added a couple things to Avengers, and they got the free like all the expansions and updates that they put out are completely free. You'll never have to pay for them, right? Until I get to try out the Black Panther one. I'm gonna hold off my personal opinions on whether I think the Avengers game was bad or not. I will say that the launch was horrible, but I do think it still has potential, and that's just my opinion.
Black Panther is going to be great.
I know, right? I'm so excited. I they didn't really show his face too much in the trailer, but like he kind of looks like him, man. He kind of looks like him. I'm so excited. Then they went on to talk about the 6-pack of the first 6 of not Avengers games, Final Fantasy games, which
Yeah, those
when
being
we first
remastered.
watched, when I first watched it, Andrew and I thought it was going to be like they were releasing it in one kit, right? But apparently they're going to be released individually, which
That's what it looks like.
I don't really know about,
It'd be better to release as an anthology
I think so too.
because the only one that I would probably play would be Final Fantasy VI,
Yeah, same here.
which was Hour 3, because that's still one of my favorite ones.
Yeah,
I
I can
just
agree with that.
love that one. It's got a special place in my heart.
To this day, Kefka is the only Final Fantasy villain that's ever succeeded in what he was doing.
Yep, he destroyed the world.
He did it. Then they showed a little bit of Interlude, but we've known about that, and Interlude was even out before E3, which is just the expansion on Final Fantasy VII and the re-release
Yeah.
of Final Fantasy VII Remake on PlayStation 5.
Then
I
they
don't
talked
know.
about their mobile Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, but I don't know about you guys, but I'm not really much into phones, so I wasn't really going to talk about it.
Nah.
And then we're on to the meme.
Oh, man.
Final.
Gearbox had the worst showcase of all time, but this was the worst trailer of all time.
What are you talking about?
Oh, man. It was so bad. And man, I
But
expect with all the backlash that this is going to look quite different by the time it's released.
well, you're right.
Not quite different, but there's going to be some changes.
I think there's going to be some changes to the like art design and everything like that because it is quite bland and it does kind of remind me of a lot of the older style Final Fantasies. But from when I was I was just making fun of it with my Discord friends, right? Because we were just memeing on it. But something really cool I found out. So it's made by the developers who did Neo. Do you guys know what Neo is?
It's Team Ninja.
Team Ninja, exactly.
Yeah.
So
And they
Neo.
do great fighting games.
Yeah, good fighting games and very good Soulsborne games. So it's gonna be harder. It's actually gonna be punishing. I was watching a demo today, and the guy was trying to fight a griffin. It looks like, and he kicked his ass a bunch of times. So it's gonna be a harder game. And apparently, this is a retelling of Final Fantasy One, the very first Final Fantasy game, as a Neo style game. Now, the
Yes,
trailer
because they're going to fight Chaos.
Chaos. Bones, you know why we're here?
That's a tough question, man.
We're here to kill Chaos.
I'm going to find Chaos.
Yeah. And you know what
Chaos
we're gonna
is here.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We Stone Cold murderers.
Yeah. But
We not only kill things, we kill ideals.
but like they said Chaos 18 times, man. 18 fucking times. I think we get it. But yeah, like other than that, I'm actually kind of looking forward to it after seeing the gameplay, but that trailer was fucking bad.
It was, but so you got 3 guys, right? 2 of them have a little bit of armor on them, look like they're anime characters. And then your main guy looks like he's just some dude, jeans, a black t-shirt. He looks like the lead guy from the Divergent series,
Yeah, he does.
right? He should just be running off a fucking building, doing some parkour. It's like, I'm gonna find Chaos. You guys kill everything. I'm gonna run around and jump on things. Like that's what it fucking looks like with this giant
So
sword across his back. Like it's just
the reason why he has the t-shirt on Nolan from the demo is because he can change jobs. So it's kind of plays a lot like Final Fantasy 14 where your job is your class essentially.
great. So
So
my class is I'm the guy who can be anything. I just choose to be nothing right now, and I'm
yeah. So he starts out with a great sword, but he gets different outfits with each like class he has. Like you can change outfits and everything like that. So that's kind of cool, but I can agree with you. He's kind of lackluster, and the voice acting was like kind of bad for
so bad.
Mix game.
But like for me, like Final Fantasy 1 is a really special game for me. Dragon Warrior got me into buying a Nintendo, the original NES, and then it was buying Final Fantasy 1 where like that was a game that got me hooked. I remember after everyone had gone to bed, I'd sneak into the TV room, unhook my Nintendo, bring it into my room, hook up to my TV, and play until 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was Final Fantasy that I played. Final Fantasy 1's got a special place in my heart. And a special place in my gaming history and journey and all that. And just to see it, like the idea of that game just butchered so badly in that trailer. Like,
Yeah, that's
man,
not a good game.
it's like Square Enix is like, hey, this is Nolan. It's like this is one of the fundamental pieces of Nolan's like gaming history. What did I
Let's
just hear
make
a zipper? It's like, fuck, you're pissing on it now. Like, come on.
See, and like the trailer's really
This is
bad, but like,
painful.
you might like the gameplay though, Nolan.
Well,
try.
I love Devil May Cry, and that's what some of the gameplay kind of remind me of. Like,
Mhm.
but man, they're gonna have to make some changes if I'm gonna try to give that game a go.
Biffle's a bitch.
So, I'm gonna give it a go. Nolan's a little wary. Bones, what did you think of Chaos?
It was it needed a little bit of order to balance it out.
But
That's what, that's
go
it.
ahead, sorry.
That's it.
Okay, I was actually about to say but if that's it for Square Enix, is there anything anybody else wants to say?
No,
All right, we're going on next to Back for Blood, which was the Warner Brothers Games show. So, do you guys know what Back for Blood is?
no, this one I missed.
It's apparently the ultimate zombie game.
Well, yeah. So it's apparently a spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, which was one of the best games of my childhood. It was So Nolan, you've seen World War Z, right?
Yep.
It was World War Z before World War Z,
Okay.
right? The zombies were fast and they come at you in hordes, right? There's only
We
four.
zombies should.
Yeah, there's only 4 of you, and there's special types of zombies, right? And this game feels like the game. Like it looks like the game. I'm personally really excited to see it, but don't get me wrong, I was kind of let down with that they
What
only.
about your other Austin, tell us of your other senses. What was the smell like? What was the taste like? Tell us.
Well,
Got
okay.
no sense of smell.
There was a big like heavy sense of copper. You know, the smell of blood, because that's pretty much all there is from those games.
Oh.
But I really was kind of let down. I really wanted to see some Batman games because the Warner Brothers guys do all the Batman games, right? So they could have showed Suicide Squad, and we haven't heard anything about Suicide Squad since the last Gamescom. They could have showed some more things about Gotham Knights, which is supposed to be coming out later this year, and I think it would have been a prime time to show some real gameplay, but they didn't. I know they're excited for Back for Blood, but I really missed some of those other games.
Well, it sounds like it was a bit of a miss for them then.
Well, at least for me. I know a lot of people out there are really excited for this game, and I really am too. But yeah, I would. We've known about Back for Blood. I would have loved to see some of these other games.
You know what? Maybe this E3 was meant for mostly smaller budget games.
I could see that.
Mixed with some big budget with Halo and whatnot.
Yeah, I could see that. I can agree with you.
Well, that kind of makes sense because the two best showcases were Nintendo and Xbox, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that really showcased all this stuff. All the rest of them were much smaller and just toned down, it seemed.
Yeah, it was even like more of an indie game showcase this year. And don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. Indie games really keep developers like the quality going. Like some of my favorite games like Undertale and Limbo and all these games, they came from indie games, indie developers, and they like Undertale was voted for Game of the Year. Like I want to say it won like 4 awards during the Game Awards that year, right? And it was an indie game. It beat out a lot of really good games that were AAA. But I can agree with you guys. I did miss seeing some of these really big shows this year. But if you guys have nothing else to say about Back for Blood, we'll move on to the PC gaming show.
All words have been said. Moving on.
All right. So, did you guys watch much of the PC gaming show? For me, it was a lot of like indie games. There were some pretty cool games in there mixed in.
Bleep, blap, bloop, blap, bloop.
All right. So I'll just do a little bit of some of my rundowns of some of the games I've seen. They had a bunch of different genres in there, which was really cool. 2 of them that stood out to me.
Nolan. Nolan, come back, please. Nolan, I summon you, Nolan. Come back here at once. Yes. Come at this place. In this space. I tell you at once. Come here. Come hither. Come hither, Nolan.
I'm
We know
back.
you are there. Come hither.
Discord kicked me out.
Yes.
So there was two games that really stood out to me. One which is called Ramen, and the other one that's called Solstice. So Ramen, have you guys have you guys ever played Splatoon?
Yep. Well, no,
So
I haven't, but I've seen a lot of gameplay.
so it's essentially just a food version of Splatoon. It had style. It was beautifully shell shaded, which was really cool. I love that kind of art style. The game modes seem really fun. The character designs are really cool, and I really enjoyed it. I thought that was a really cool game because Splatoon is really kind of stands on its own for its own kind of style of shooter. And with this game coming out being very similar, it will bring out some competition between the two games, hopefully, and that brings out the best of both worlds because competition really does bring out the best in everybody.
Sounds like something my oldest daughter would probably really enjoy playing.
Yeah, I think so too. It was like it's the perfect kind of game for that kind of age bracket, I find. And then going up an age bracket with Solstice. Now, Solstice is a very is also another shell shaded game, which I really like. It's like an indie version of Dark Souls or Bloodborne, right? It starts out when you're kind of just looking at this beautiful kind of stained church glass, and then she jumps through with her like ghost companion, and then like it kind of just goes immediately into gameplay, and that's what I like when it comes to trailers. I don't want to like don't get me wrong, some of these cinematic trailers are beautiful, and it shows off like these characters and what the developers really envisioned. But you don't really get a sense for the game you're going to play without seeing a gameplay trailer. And this game really showed what it's all about with the blood and gore and the giant bosses. It really seemed intimidating, and she handled herself quite well. I thoroughly enjoyed that trailer, and it was the best one of the show for me. Next one will be Capcom. Any Capcom fans here?
I've always enjoyed the Resident Evil games, except for the one on the Wii. I hated that one. But
Which Resident Evil didn't you like?
oh no, it was on Wii U. That's what it was. Starts off, you're on a train. I'm like,
Code Veronica? I can't remember the one that was on the train. But they showed a little bit of Resident Evil 8, even though Resident Evil 8's been out. They showed like their hero shooter that they're making out of the Resident Evil game. I don't know how I feel about that.
yeah, that's not my. I mean, I'm enjoying playing Halo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my first real kind of venture into it since Medal of Honor and GoldenEye when I was much younger. But
So by a hero shooter, it's gonna like each character has its own kind of thing, right? So like I think Leon will drop more flashbangs, which will blind the other players. Like Hunk which is another character in the universe. He can go invisible for a little bit. And then like after a while, I don't know if it's a power up or not, but you can become Nemesis. You can become Mr. X. You can become Jack from Resident Evil 7, right? So that's
that
pretty
sounds a
cool.
bit more cool.
Can you become a pickle?
If you could become Pickle Rick, I'd be okay with it. But for me, Capcom's shows will always tend to Monster Hunter because I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan, and I always look forward to seeing what they're doing. They showed two different Monster Hunter games, which is Rise, which has been out for a while, but it was a title update, which added Veldrax, which is a rock-powered dragon, which is pretty fucking metal. And they just added a couple new monsters, new quests, just regular Monster Hunter stuff. But if I had a Nintendo Switch, I'd be all over it. And just smile away, Nolan. I see you over there. And Monster Hunter Stories, which I've never heard about until Monster Hunter Stories 2. which is essentially a take on mixing some games I really like, actually. Pokemon, Final Fantasy, and, well, Monster Hunter. So you control your character's a Monster Hunter trainer, which they get eggs from these monsters and they train them to fight for them, essentially.
Juicy
Right?
egg.
Exactly. So your main creature is
A dragon.
it's a dragon, yeah, but what's his name? Anyways, it doesn't matter. Can't remember his name. Fake fan. But you're gonna be controlling you get your main dragon, and each creature after fighting them for a while, you can get armor for your character, and then once you fight them enough, you unlock the chance to get their egg, and that will make it so you can train that monster, and you can bring that monster into battles, right? And that's pretty cool. I like kaiju fights. It's always cool to see monsters fight.
Is the last dragon in the game?
No, actually, there's lots and lots and lots of dragons. Well, even though they're technically called like wyverns, because dragons are kind of like a tippy top of the A list, and you can only ever fight elder dragons at the end game. So, Nintendo.
Which was the best showcase, hands down, all of E3, I thought.
We can agree to disagree. I thought Xbox had them beat, but competition, right?
No, I thought the Nintendo Direct, it had more games I was interested in because there's Metroid Dread, Mario Golf Super Rush, and which talked a little bit about that. And it just, I really enjoyed it. It was the first one I laughed at I laughed at Final Fantasy Origins. That was more than you laugh. When they had the little vid, when he dropped Kirby when he's dropping all the bodies off the cliff and they dropped Kirby and the Kirby floats up. I had a good chuckle at that. I liked that.
I like a lot of these Smash Bros trailers because they don't take themselves too seriously, and I gotta appreciate that.
No, they're really quite entertaining, a lot of them, and they tell a story. They do a really good job. It was like we're really good story behind the character because he's a new character and all stuff, but it's still a really well produced introduction. Like it gives you a lot of information and just a lot of production in there. They're beautiful videos.
Now Smash Bros has a character from Virtua Fighter, Street Fighter. Okay, so the developer of Smash Bros has been making Smash Bros since Smash Bros 1.
Yep.
Right? Because yeah, I'm done with the game, but you know what? It's my game. I made myself the best character because I'm the last character. Right? And I thought it'd be fucking hilarious.
I mean, how that Tobias Boone put himself in Mortal Kombat. Call himself Noob Saibot.
Yeah.
Like I remember finding out about that. It's like, man, best idea ever. Make it a game, make one of the most popular games in the world, and put yourself in it.
Exactly. Nolan, what game did you want to talk about?
I haven't played a Metroid game in a long, long, long time. And Metroid Dread looks like a really good game.
Yeah.
And I like the premise behind it because I was reading up about it. And the dread comes from, it's supposed to feel like Samus is up against some enemies that she can't beat. So she has to tiptoe around them. She has to hide from them. They're put in there to put a sense of give an ominous feeling to it and just some tone to it. And watching the gameplay, I always liked the Metroidvania style games. I always enjoyed those. But this one looked like the pace was a bit faster, maybe a little more frantic, and
well, you kind of have to. You can't keep your way out of it.
No, so I was really interested in that one.
And I
know Andrew's gonna lose his shit for it, and because he's such a huge fan of Metroid.
See, for me, I've never been much of a big fan of the Metroidvania games, as we talked about on Castlevania Symphony of Night.
That was so good.
Right?
That's a great game.
I've never been too into them, but one thing I've always admired about Samus is she was the first actually cool female character in gaming, and she will always be the queen of gaming in my eyes. Right?
Oh yeah, she was around long before Lara Croft or any other major female character.
But in this game, she has a chance to show off her brains because she's a super, super intelligent character in a lot of the lore, right? And in this one, since she can't shoot her way out, she has to use her brain to think around these creatures, right? And I think that's a really, really cool idea. because you have this character who's just walking fucking armory, right? And now she can't shoot her way out. And sometimes not sometimes that usually brings out good story.
You see, the risk when you have a Metroidvania style game is that you turn into just a button masher. There's one weapon you can get in Symphony of the Night where basically you can just mash buttons and walk over the entire game. So it is nice to see one where you have to incorporate a lot of other elements of gameplay, or at least tactics, because they're really, it's hard to make a Metroidvania game where you have to play really tactically.
Yeah.
Like, it's different. Like, I was playing God of War last week, and like with the combat style, like because it's not a 2D side scroller, like there's a lot more involved in it.
Mhm.
But so it is more difficult, I think, making a Metroidvania style game and
Actually, I
making
agree
it
with you. I
fresher
agree with
and
you.
newer.
Especially in like the nowadays, wow, in the gaming market today, because when you have all these like first person shooters and third person hero games and everything like that, like God of War, for example, you can just kind of copy and piggyback off of other people's ideas,
Yeah.
right? Like back when like Metroid first came out and like all the different sequels and all the different kind of like copycat games that came out, I imagine it was easier back then, right? Because you could just kind of pick away at it and be like, oh, I like this idea from Castlevania, I'm gonna implement it, right? But nowadays, it's not common anymore, and when things aren't common, it's harder to keep things relevant, and I think that's really cool. I will say though, I would have loved to see Prime instead of Dread. Just for me personally, I would love to see Prime 4, but I can understand why they didn't show anything.
Well, Dread apparently was a game that was dreamed up over 15 years ago. And
Ooh, didn't catch that.
yeah, and it was actually put on pause because of the DS and how popular the DS was.
Oh, hey. Huh. I mean, DS was one of the best consoles of all time. Bones, was there anything that stood out for you for Nintendo?
The Dread game, where you can melt floor with some weird gun. That looked cool.
Yeah.
There's also the
Mhm.
Mario Golf Super Rush, which
You did
Yeah.
mention Golf.
what's that?
Yeah.
You mentioned Mario Golf before.
Yeah,
There's like
and
some
like
new villain. Isn't there a new villain?
well, you can battle bosses in there when you do the adventure mode, like the story mode.
But they didn't really
But
show any villains. The only villains they kind of show are the like you could play as Bowser, you can play as Waluigi and stuff like that. But they're not. I don't think they're going to be the main antagonists for the game.
no, in the story mode where you play as your me and you're building up your skills and going through their story, there, I don't know, it looked almost more like a mini golf style battle against a boss where like you're just trying to you're trying to get in the hole, get on the green, and he's in the way or something like that. But like you said earlier, the Mario Golf, it's the style of golf game that I really enjoy playing. I'm planning on playing that one with my kids, definitely. I think they're gonna really love it.
So now, so Andrews can't be here today, but he really wanted somebody to talk about Advance Wars.
That does look like a fun
No,
game. It does.
Andrew and his special advanced wars.
Yeah, I know. I personally don't get it myself, but so here is the quote. So Andrew wrote me out something to say for you guys. So I'm just going to quote it from what he wrote. Advance Wars was a huge reveal for me. A turn-based strategy game originally released on the Game Boy Advance. It has been a dream of mine to see this game make a comeback, and I am super psyched that it has finally shown its shiny cartridge on the contemporary Nintendo console. It has been 20 years since the original release. It last popped up on the Wii U Virtual Console, and I'm sure many of you slept on this game since. But I am glad that it's getting a second chance for gamers to give it a try for the first time. Truthfully, because of this game, I became a huge RT. I what? Truthfully,
RTS
because of this
strategy.
game, I was huge into RTS on the computer. I do not want to point out. I do want to point out. I know not a lot agree with the graphic design of the game, making it look a bit like Link's Awakening remake, claymation, toy looking game. I truthfully, don't give a molecular on the aesthetics, even though I'm a strong pixel lover. The game in general is just a lot of fun to play, alone, or with friends. So if you enjoy Wargroove, the spiritual inspiration from Advance Wars, you will love Advance Wars. The release date of this game is December 3rd, 2021. At a retail of $79.99 for that
What?
game.
Hold on. It's
Yeah,
it
sorry,
can't. It's not.
Andrew.
They can't
Sorry, I don't think
charge
so.
that much for an old retro game.
I don't think
I'm
so.
sorry. You know what? Up until that point, I'm like, yeah, I'm with Andrew. I really enjoy the aesthetic of the old retro style games. I really do. Like Dragon Quest XI, I play that from a top-down view because it's nostalgic for me. I'll go back and forth between the view modes, but that's for me, Dragon Quest. That's how I play it. But yeah, once you get that price, like, sorry, dude, it's not worth that.
So
No,
I agree with Nolan.
dude, I'm tapping out right here.
Yeah.
Stinky price.
So Andrew,
Sorry, Andrew.
I read
I'm
it,
not.
but I'm not excited for it after seeing that price.
Hey, $29.99, I might be a little more excited, but $79.99, no.
For me, I'm excited for two games. Just because of the fact that, well, it's Breath of the Wild 2, I think would be crazy not to talk about it even a little bit, right? There wasn't a whole lot they showed, but like the floating islands and everything like that, I love that aesthetic. I would love to see Ganondorf myself, but like showing Link flying to the air and paragliding from island to island, it really gets to show what they've added to the game. And
Yeah, it
I
looks like
don't
it's going to be a much larger open world experience too.
well,
And
what I thought I seen, Nolan, I might have missed. I might be looking into it a little too much. But when Ganondorf wakes up, he kind of like wakes up the power of like Blight Ganon from the first game, and he kind of like
okay.
takes the castle into the sky. So I think the reason why the planets are floating is because of Ganondorf waking up himself.
Could
So
be.
so that's probably why there's all the flying islands and everything like that, and that's probably why it feels like it won't be as big of a world because the world's been kind of destroyed and it's floating. But you guys excited for Breath of the Wild 2? Did you enjoy Breath of the Wild 1?
I enjoyed what I've played of it. I haven't finished it. I do want to find the time to play that, but to be honest, it's probably not going to happen until Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, and I'm just going to jump into Breath of the Wild 2.
What I would do in that case then, Nolan, is I would watch like some like a playthrough on like YouTube or something like that, to kind of catch you up about what happened. But I mean,
I'm going to
like
have to do something.
that's what the appeal for Breath of the Wild was for me, anyways. Right? Like the world sucked you in more than the story.
Hmm.
Right? For me personally, the best game of the Nintendo show is Shin Megami Tensei 5.
That
So,
does look good. That
so
looks really good.
my favorite game of all time, I think it's better than any game, and I'll fight anybody that says otherwise, is Persona 5. Right? I love the Persona
No.
series. It just captures the RPG world so perfectly. Every second of the game you need to plan out. Like it's just perfect. I love it to death. And for those who don't know, Persona series is a spin-off of the Shin Megami series. I personally have never played a Shin Megami series, any of the games in the Shin Megami series. So, I mean, I don't know if playing 5 is a bit like jumping in the pool without like seeing if there's water in it or anything like that. But seeing the monsters and everything like that, I'm excited. I want to try this game out. Cool. Like if you can only have party of monsters, that's cool too, right? Like I don't need to have all my friends in the game. I want to and I just want to explore, man. It looks really cool, and that's what I'm looking for. The art design is just as stellar as it has always been in the Persona series. Honestly, I would just like to see a little more. Like just from the little trailer they had there, it shows a little bit of the gameplay and everything like that. But I want a story trailer. I want to know what I'm getting into before I buy it.
That'll be the next Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, probably. I hope so. I hope so.
Oh, I'm sure it will. Because
Um,
they're just teasing with that one.
I know. What a fucking tease it was too, Nolan. What a fucking tease.
I just want to let everybody know that Andrew was successful. He got one of the Zelda watch clocks things that
Oh yeah,
everyone's
he
looking
did.
at.
Oh, lucky him. One thing I will say I was disappointed in. I was hoping to see some Pokemon.
Yeah, but the last Nintendo Direct was really heavy on Pokemon, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's Pokemon, my guy. Kinda gotta show a little bit.
Yeah, I know. And you know what, man? I'm this close to putting Pokemon Go on my phone.
How are you?
God.
Just download it and then just let me send gifts and then send me gifts back. That's all I ask. Don't do it for you. This is gonna sound really douchey. Holy shit! Don't do it for you. Do it for me. But yeah, that's what I thought. After Nintendo was the last one I really had any care about.
There
I don't
was
know
another
you
one that
guys.
came after, but I don't know what. I honestly don't know what it was. And
There's one other show that I recorded, and I don't think any of you guys are gonna care about it, so I'll make it really quick. Bandai Namco. All right, so Bandai Namco is the main guys above FrameSoft, which does the main Soulsborne game. So the main Soulsborne game, like they ended the Souls series 2 years ago with not 2 years ago, a while ago with Dark Souls 3, and then they've been announcing they announced Elden Ring. Elden Ring is the next Soulsborne game, but the coolest thing about it is it also has George R.R. Martin to do with it. He helped write the story, which will be pretty cool. Because I mean, like, don't get me wrong, the Game of Thrones craze kind of ended with the last season being bad.
yeah, but he needs to wait another 5 years. He needs something to do for another 5 years before he puts his next book out in that
Yeah,
series.
longer than 5 years, let me tell you. But the gameplay looks amazing, and don't get me wrong, like a lot of horse riding combat sims can be quite janky, but from what I've seen, it looks really good, and you can summon monsters and bosses that you fought, and I'm just excited to see it. And we've been waiting for Elden Ring for a really long time, and I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to say about it. So make sure to comment down and let me know what you're excited for. And then they didn't play any gameplay for it, but it's an interesting premise. And I know you're not allowed to talk about movies at E3. It's a big taboo thing. But have any of you guys ever seen the movie The Descent?
Yes, that's one of the cavers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So House of Ashes takes place in Iraq, right? So you're playing soldiers, right?
Yeah.
And you're fighting terrorists, I imagine. I don't know. They didn't show them. But so essentially what happens is the fighting wakes up an ancient evil from underneath, and they the ground breaks and they fall into these tunnels, and they're getting hunted by these like weird bat monster creatures, right? So there was no gameplay, and I don't know anything about it, but I really like the premise, and I thought it was worth to talk about a little bit. Want to
That was
see
a
it,
good movie. Descent was a good movie. There was Descent where that was one of the soldiers. There was another movie came out around the same time that was a bunch of women that got trapped in a cave like that too.
The one they get trapped in the cave, and then
And had like the demon monster things in there.
Yeah, and they start hunting them down, and only one lady survives. This game is feels like it, and it's got like these weird, like kind of like ancient Mayan, even though it's like kind of like set in, like I said, it's set in Iraq. But they have these like ancient like designs and everything like that. And the trailer was just interesting, and it caught my eye, and I thought, in a day of age where remakes and bringing back nostalgia bait games takes a precipice, new games and new movies and everything like that really push the media forward. And I think even though like it didn't show any gameplay and everything like that, a new premise is always more interesting to me than bringing back an old game just because they know I'll pay $90.
No, and something has to move everything forward. Going back to what we were talking about earlier about the relevance of E3 and how I think it's the big studios are going to probably do their own thing, go their own way, and E3 is going to be a smaller showcase for indie developers. I think that would be a good thing because it's the indie studios that are going to, I think, really push and motivate innovation in gaming and in the storytelling. Because like PlayStation, they're already showing they're really pushing for blockbuster games. Blockbuster games are, I'm sorry, they're cookie cutters of things we've already seen. They really are. There'll be an innovation here or there and like a little bit of gameplay, but it's going to be the smaller indie games and indie studios and developers that are going to be, I think, a lot more innovative and a lot newer and fresher.
I can agree with
And
that.
those ideas are going to be popping up in the indie games. And I think if E3 does go more of a low budget indie direction without having the big studios there, I think that would be better for the industry, to be honest. Because I just see like a lot of these showcases, things are again just cookie cutters of the same thing. Metroid Dread is another Metroidvania style game. I mean, there's a few more elements in there that make it look more exciting and appealing than other ones and are going to make it exciting to play. Don't get me wrong, and I'll enjoy the hell out of it. But like Super Mario Golf or like Mario Golf Super Rush, again, it's once I found out that was a fucking game, I look it up and yeah, the GameCube there was like Mario Golf and like it's pretty much the same thing. Before that, there was Hot Shots Golf on PlayStation, and it's the same kind of thing. The innovation is going to come from the smaller studios. I think it would be better for the industry if the bigger players do move on to more of their own thing and have a showcase for the smaller studios. And
Okay.
I think that's what E3 is going to become.
That's pretty much all I had ready to cover. That was the main shows and everything like that. I talked about my favorite indie game for the PC games because a lot of the PC games, PC Gamer Show was just indie games. I have a question for both of you guys. After going over what we all talked about here today, what game do you think stole the show?
I think
Out of all,
I think the game that stole the show was Final Fantasy Origins, just because of just how it's fucking blown up all over the internet, man, for how bad it is. Like Jesus, like it's just everywhere because of how bad it is. And I think it stole the show for every wrong reason, right? For me personally, the one that gets me that I really want the most is I won't play Breath of the Wild 2, but it was just a trailer. And that's gonna come out next year when the Switch Pro comes out. That's what I believe. The one that I really want the most is Mario Golf. That's the game I want.
Okay, so that's your game of the show.
Well,
But you caught me off guard there. I was not expecting that.
Fuck, man, you have no idea how much I enjoyed Hot Shots Golf on PS1 and like Wii Golf on the Wii. Like, I really want to play a golf game. I hate watching golf. I hate playing golf, but you know, it's so much fun, man. Especially with the Joy-Cons, like it's gonna be so much fun.
Hell
And
yeah, man.
especially it's gonna be one I'm gonna be able to play with my kids. Like, oh, it's gonna be great.
Well, see, and that's a good way of looking at it because, like, a lot of gamers today find like just the hardcore games, right? They're like, I don't want to play children's game, but like gaming's for everybody of all ages. Like, you should be allowed to play if you're your family, and I think that's really cool that you're looking forward to it.
Man, like I feel so dirty, but like I do want to play Final Fantasy Origins, but don't want to unless they get the guy out of that T-shirt and he doesn't look like the guy from Divergent series. Like, it's like, dude, you're gonna like just parkour around a monster. Like it's like I don't know, man. Like too many things are just like oh, I'm watching this. Like oh shit, man. I was just sick of the back of my throat there. Like man, it's just
the gameplay was actually pretty good. I can't believe I'm defending it, but the gameplay
looks good, and you know what? The gameplay it has to be good because it's by Team Ninja. So like, it's going to have good. The gameplay is going to be good, but it's just the visual of that, and like, you know what? I know they're going to cut at least 9 out of 10 references to Chaos out of the voice dialogue in that game before it's released because like they can't go ahead with that, man. No,
you know what? Honestly, I kind of
not going to because they're going to do it just to spite everyone or make a joke of it. But
but you picked Mario Golf and Final Fantasy Origin.
Yeah.
Bones, I know you're not you didn't watch too much of it, but like, is it out of all the games we talked about here, is there any games that excite you?
Mario Golf.
Gotta
be the golf.
I see you guys outnumbering me. I see it. I see you. I'm excited for it too.
Oh, you're lying.
Actually, I didn't really enjoy it, but I was more of a Strikers, which is the soccer game on the GameCube for Mario. For me, I would say Guardians.
Really?
Yeah, man. I'm a comic book nerd. I gotta represent. I could, like, when I first met you, that's all I did was talk your ears off about comics, right?
Dude, every night we worked together was like an episode of Clerks.
Every night. I don't know, man. I love the design. Like, if I don't like buying stuff from game studios because it's always like fucking super expensive, but like Square Enix, if you're selling that Star-Lord jacket, I'll buy it. It looks pretty good. And like, you know, like I was saying before, I kind of gushed about it during its segment, and I don't want to go too much into it. It just had style, man, you know, and that's what I'm really looking for. It looks like it's fun. It looks like I'll enjoy playing it. And you know what? And with all the different options that you can choose, that's a replayability. And now that games are in Canada, I want to have some replayability, and you know what? That's what I'm really looking for.
One
But
thing I am curious about with Guardians is because you get to make all these different choices in there. Like there was one where like you can throw a rocket across a chasm or whatever, and he lands on the other side, and that's the one in the gameplay that they pick. And he says, "I'm going to remember this." Like I wonder if it's going to be one of those games where the choices you make are going to start dictating and influence the gameplay around you. And I would want to play the game just to piss off Rocket and end up being attacked by a rabid raccoon at the end.
Well, I was going to say, I think because that's the cool part. Like, not a lot of people really like the Telltale games. It's unfortunate they went under, but they got that kind of thing from them where it's just like Rocket is furious, you threw him across, and it shows up in red. And I do think that like if you fuck over and your teammate enough, one of them enough, they're gonna betray you. Right. And I like that idea because like it doesn't have to be super close to the regular stories because it's its own universe. And I like that idea. And you know what? Maybe I'll piss off Gamora until she cuts me in half with her ninja sword. Maybe I'll piss off Drax enough that he will read the dictionary to me. I would never piss off Groot because he's Groot and I love him. Yeah, that's my game of the year. So we got 2 for Mario Golf, 1 for no. I'll put one of mine into Final Fantasy Origins 2. Not just for the memes, but because the gameplay looks pretty good. So we have 2 for Mario Golf, Final Fantasy Origins for the memes, and 1 for Guardians of the Galaxy. So for the listeners up there, leave a comment. Like, I want to hear what your game of the E3 was. I know it was a lackluster one, but it's still E3 and it's kind of important to cover. But that's pretty much it for today. What have you guys been playing this week?
Well, actually, I picked up my Switch. I played a little bit of Dragon Quest 11, and I noticed that way back when I bought my Switch off of you, I did purchase a Devil May Cry for like $8.
Yeah.
The original, and so I was playing that a bit the other day, and man, there's something to be said about a game like that where you don't have to scrounge for ammo, and it's like you just hold down the button and then you just fire off 10,000 rounds. Like it's a game where like man, like you having to if there's something pissing you off, like you can take it out easy in a game like that.
And like Dante, man, he's got some style. He's got some stuff. Some of his
it's
quips
a
are
really
dated.
stylish game.
Some of his quips are a little dated now for my taste. But so just some Devil May Cry, some
DQ11.
yeah. Did you see they announced DQ14?
Oh, did they?
Not at E3, but just before. But we can talk about it after.
I am really looking forward to the remaster and re-release of Dragon Warrior 3 or Dragon Quest 3 because that was a really great game in my opinion when I was a kid, and that was one that tied in the whole Urjuk saga for the origins of Dragon Quest.
Oh yeah, Bones, what have you been playing?
Oh boy, Austin, let me tell you, I got a long list of games we gotta go through here, so it's gonna be a whole nother podcast, I think, about an hour and a half, now 45 minutes at least, I think. So the first game on the list, okay, this is the very first game, which means it's number 1 on the list, which means we're starting at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Now here we go, we're gonna go now. Okay.
Yeah, this thing.
I just gotta wet my lips so that I can begin speaking in the manner in which I prefer to speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
The anticipation
at all.
Now, games they don't really belong on a list, do they?
No, they don't.
I mean, they belong in experience playing them.
Yeah.
I mean, why make a list?
Okay, all right. So no Apex in the last week?
Yes, there was moments of Apex, yes.
Oh
It was
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Good. I think I won. I
Did
won
you
with
win?
some strangers. I didn't win with Andy.
Yeah, but Andy gets mad when you make fun of Advanced Quest and then leaves. So I can understand. I think I ask this question all the time because I haven't really got a chance to see her. How overpowered is Valkyrie?
Valkyrie?
Valkyrie, I think that's her name. The fucking Titanfall girl, the one with the jetpack.
Oh, the one that can fucking fly now.
Yeah.
She can fly.
She wreaks
she
havoc.
flies.
She wreaks havoc.
She can fly, but I didn't know. Like, I thought that was like her ultimate. I didn't think that was going to be like.
She flies. Andrew
She's
loves
a beast. She's a beast.
Okay, makes sense. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you can attach to her, and then
wait, what?
Like your teammates can attach and then fly with her, fly away.
So what's the point in playing like any other character?
I don't know. And then she can drop bombs like fucking They don't have a time to blast. They're just quick. They're like Gibraltar. They're like his drop.
Really?
They blow up right away. Yeah.
Huh. So my question is then, do you think that they're gonna like give some characters a bit of a retouch? It seems like she kind of like makes a lot of the game obsolete.
No, because used correctly, every player's skills are useful.
Okay,
I
okay.
mean, like Valkyrie can fly and shit, but she can't see around corners and see thermal images like Bloodhound or whatever, and
That's a good point.
whatever. I forget. I think that's his name. Anyway, I just play with one player a lot. That's why I'm kind of like
Oh, what character do you play?
foggy on the names. I just play with Fuse.
Fuse. Oh hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. When I was playing, I used to play Bloodhound a lot. And then it was like as I played like close to release, and then I got angry because I'm bad at battle royales. What's her name? The ninja girl that can teleport.
Hella Ninja.
She's one of the main characters. Like she was one of the shown with Mirage and the robot guy that has the grappling hook in the main trailer. I can't remember her name now, but I used to play her quite a bit. Anyways, been playing a lot of Destiny. As always, unfortunately. Downloaded a couple new games that I've been trying out. They're not exactly memorable, unfortunately, but yeah. Oh, downloaded the Worms to play with some of my online friends. You guys want to? You guys want a good game to play with, just like even couch co-op or anything like that? Download Worms, man. It is super fun.
Worms.
But
What's that on?
every game console. It's on PC through like Switch. But yeah, that's the.
I'm trying to get rid of my worms, man. I don't need more worms.
On that note, that's the podcast, guys. Thanks for coming and listening to us. We missed you, Andrew, and we're sorry about Advance Wars. Come back, be the host. I'm not good at it. And yeah, thank you for listening, guys. And we'll see you next time.
And you can support us on Patreon and Acast.
I already did that.
Hey, let's not forget. Let's not forget everyone out there. That the 1P4NNNN mug is available online.
Rude.
Oh, the crowd goes nuts.
Dude, it looks so good. So
It looks fantastic. It really does.
what website would we find this on?
Well, let me tell you, is we would go to a website called mainjams.com. It's spelled MAINJAMZ.com, as it were. And it's quite delightful. It's a very good brand. I really like the website. It's quite spectacular in every way possible, and quality products, top quality, I must say, top quality. I do say yes, tip top. It's a quite nice mug. It's a Bobby Desler, let me say. It's quite
So
nice.
like I'm really excited because I need a new coffee mug for work, and that's what I'm
You
going to do.
Well, do you need a 15-ounce coffee mug? It's a
I
perfect size.
drink a lot of coffee, man. I'm a high energy person, so I burn through energy fucking quick.
Do you like the classic ceramic white glossy mug
Yes, I do.
with vivid prints printed on them?
Yes, I do. How did you know? How did you know?
Because it's a trending fashion thing. It's not a fashion. It's like a trending, popular thing people want nowadays. and I've got them at mainjams.com.
Oh yeah, man. Well,
I'm looking at right now. You get free shipping with the purchase of your mug as well.
Free shipping, woohoo! Free shipping.
I do have to say, Bones, your choice of model holding it, she is very cute.
Thank you guys for listening. Make sure to buy some mugs. I know which site I'm going to make an order for right after the podcast. We'll get right on to the nice outro.
Yes, Austin, tell the people what they want to hear.
If you like what you hear and want to know where you're able to support us, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at One Podcast for Nerds. That is the number one podcast for the number one or the number 4 nerds. This is where we post updates and news about this show, as well as a few others. You can support us on Acast or Patreon, where you'll find this show. And all the others where we are producing. Sadly, the show is This is the only show that is not that is available to everybody. But there will be a few others coming down the grapevine.